Hi, friends. Happy Winning Wednesday. It's Sonia
Jeannie, hi.
and we are coming to you live for another awesome episode of Winning Wednesday. It just blows my mind how fast a week goes by, or a month, or a year. Like, if you guys can relate to what I'm saying, let me know. Like, how fast is time going for you? Because what
Mhm.
we're going to talk about today, in a nutshell, is turning back the hands of time in a couple of things. We're going to talk about balancing hormones for not only glowing skin, but also to help you with weight loss. So, if that is a problem or what's the word, goal for either losing weight or having more glowing skin, it might be time to take a closer look under the hood at what your hormones are doing. So
Mm.
that's the discussion we're going to get into today. And I'm super pumped. This is one of my favorite topics. So if you guys are here live with us, let us know you're here. We're live all over the place. So say hi, let us know what platform you're watching from, what time you're catching this, if you are on the replay, and say hello. Don't be in the witness protection program and watch and never say a word. So we don't bite, I promise.
Very nice.
All right, Jeannie, let's get into this awesome conversation. So, balancing hormones for glowing skin and weight loss. Let's talk about it. So, obviously, we've had some conversations about hormones, and both you and I are midlife women, right? And what happens during midlife? What do you see happening with your hormones?
They go all over the place. They
Right?
they're up and down. Yes.
Truly a roller coaster ride. I was trying to find my words
Mhm.
there, but honestly, like one of the biggest roller coaster rides I've ever been on in my life. And I've been on
Right?
some cool roller coasters. So anyway, it's just, it's
Yeah.
something we all go through. And, I think you don't ever think you're going to reach that point until you do. And then it's so
Mhm.
subtle a lot of times, like little things start happening, like your cycle starts getting further and further apart, like the days, or they're closer together and you're having like 3 cycles a month. I mean, it's like all over the place, right? And a lot of it
Mhm.
has to do with changing hormones. So, sometimes there are, things that you can do to stay ahead of the game, but most of the time people don't even notice those hormonal changes until they start having them. And so I noticed, when this started happening to me, I noticed my hair started thinning. I said, I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my gosh, I have like wrinkles on my face and lines for the first time. And then I started gaining weight, especially around my midsection. I don't
Mm.
know. Did you experience any of those things?
Yes, I did.
All the above?
And more.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So did
Yes.
you know something was happening with your hormones, or did you just think like God was being mean to you or something?
I just thought it was part of aging. I had no clue that I it was my hormones until I had it checked by the doctor.
Mm,
Um, because I didn't even think of menopause at that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's like something you don't think about until it's here. So
Or
it's a
perimenopause.
real deal.
Yeah.
Like, you talk more about menopause than I do, but how many symptoms are there of menopause? Like, have you ever counted them?
It
There's so
it's
many.
like it's like 37 plus. I don't know. It's a lot, you know? It's a
Mhm.
lot to deal with. There are so many symptoms. It's crazy. But I would say that you kind of start to pick up on it when you're experiencing things that you didn't experience in the past.
So good.
Yeah.
I looked in the mirror and I started seeing lines on my face. And so what did I do? I started researching everything that could help me look younger again because I didn't want to go to the extremes of doing Botox or fillers or unhealthy cosmetic procedures. You're just trading one problem for another one.
Mm.
In that, I mean, if you think about the word Botox, it's toxins, toxic poison being injected into your skin. And I was like, I don't know how that is going to help me in the long term because aging skin is not a deficiency of Botox. It's a
Mhm.
deficiency of collagen, hyaluronic acid, and interestingly enough, and this is how it ties into hormones. This is really cool.
Mhm.
Did you guys know that estrogen is the motor, like the car motor, for collagen production? Estrogen is the motor for
Mm.
collagen production.
Yeah.
when I learned that, I heard a doctor speaking so eloquently about this. I was like, hmm, okay, so my hormones are doing this.
Mm.
Overall, your estrogen levels begin to decline, right? So a lot of things change because of that. But if estrogen is the motor for collagen production, well, what happens to our collagen?
That goes down too. Yeah.
Mhm. And so
And it
therefore,
starts early.
yes, it does. Like, and
Mhm.
it's little subtle changes.
Yep.
Especially when you hit the ripe old age of 30, things really start to decline. And then like 35, and it's like, oh, I think the first time I looked in the mirror and started to see lines and some fine lines and some wrinkles and things, it was probably around 35. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, is this just it? Or like, what's going to change here? So, as I learned more and more about hormones, and I encourage every woman on the planet, and I've done this multiple times, to get a Dutch test done. So, this is an at home test you can do, and it looks at your hormone metabolites. So, it's not just the blood test that tells you the moment in time, like right now, what is happening with your hormones. That can give you a snapshot. But when your hormones are doing this, it's kind of important to know what is historically, what do they look like?
Mm.
And so it looks at progesterone, it looks at estrogen, testosterone, all the metabolites of those things, but then also melatonin, which of course impacts your sleep. So if you've got really low melatonin levels, of course, you're not going to sleep well. When you don't sleep well, you gain weight and you have wrinkled skin. Like,
Yeah.
do you
Yep.
see how this all fits together?
Mhm.
And then what's another problem that holds people back from losing weight? High cortisol, right?
Right. Yes. And, because of our decreased estrogen levels, we're not as resilient in dealing with stress as we age. So that's
Mm.
another issue too. So it really they all feed into each other. They work together.
It's so fascinating because when you think about that, so as you stop producing estrogen, the ovaries stop producing estrogen,
Mhm.
it shifts. It's not that you quit producing estrogen, it's just that becomes the role of the adrenal glands.
Mhm.
And if the adrenal glands are constantly dealing with stress, and you're not really being chased by a tiger, but if you're in this sort of fight or flight state all the time, because your hormones have taken a hit, it's very difficult to lose weight. It's very difficult to keep your hair, your skin, your nails, all of that looking like when you were younger. And we're
Right.
not saying you're going to look like you're a 20-year-old, but wouldn't it be nice if, but just by controlling some things in your world and maybe taking some supplements, you could not only look 10 years younger, but feel 10 years younger so that your chronological age and your biological age do not match. I
Right.
mean, I think that's like the ultimate goal. Wouldn't you agree, Jeannie?
Yeah, I think if you can take off some years where you feel good and you look as good as you wanna be. Yeah, I mean, because you're right, you can't look like you're 20 years old, but you can definitely look younger. Because I think by not doing those things, that like taking the collagen and, really, biohacking, some of the things that we do on a daily basis, what happens is that, we age at a faster rate. So,
Mm,
we don't have to look the way we do compared to, like if we were to start to biohack and use the things that will help to slow it down. So,
agreed. I mean, I've been able to take 10 plus years off of not only my face, but my
mhm,
joint health. I was just at the hairdresser today and she did my hair and she's like, oh my gosh, like your hair is like getting really full and dense, full of volume. And I'm like, yeah, check out my follicles because I've been taking this awesome new formula of collagen called Skin, Hair, and Nails. And you
yeah.
guys, it is magic. I would literally shower in it if I could
You could. Yeah.
because it's got not only the right size molecule of collagen, type 2 collagen,
Mhm,
which actually encourages your body to produce more collagen on its own. So that blew my mind, right? Because that's the ultimate
mhm,
biohack. It's not just for the sake of taking a supplement. We're actually biohacking our age by teaching the body how to once again produce more collagen, which guess what? Helps everything else too, right? So she said
mhm,
to me, like, what are you doing? And I said, well, my favorite liquid collagen that also has had hyaluronic acid and chondroitin sulfate, which is more effective for joint health, but it got a major upgrade. And now it has, you guys are ready for this, biotin, pea sprouts, and bamboo. And if you
Amazing.
don't know about those things, go look them up. I needed to, but
Mhm.
it's all about the health of your follicles and your hair because
Mhm.
just like
And
collagen is the most,
biotin is good for your nails.
yes, and your nails too.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yep.
just like collagen is the most abundant protein in your body,
Mm.
biotin, bamboo, and pea sprouts can help affect the keratin levels, which
Yeah.
are the most abundant protein in your hair and your nails. So my hairstylist was like, "Wait, what are you doing?" Because I see your hair every 6 weeks, and she was, like, blown away. Anyway, I digress, back to skin. So when you replace what's gone missing with,
Mhm.
again, a bioidentical product, it's amazing how you can age reverse your skin
Mhm.
by working with your hormonal system that is out of whack
Yeah.
to biohack your aging skin, your hair, your
Mm.
nails, all those things. So it really does come
Yeah.
down to knowing what your hormonal levels are,
Mhm.
understanding why this is happening, and then look for solutions to replace what's gone missing, essentially.
Yep.
So
Love
no
it.
skincare in the world is going to do what biohacking from the inside out
Mhm.
does. So when people ask me, how did you do that with your skin? I'm like, it's 70% right here in this bottle. The rest
Yeah.
of it, yes, eating healthy, drinking the water, sleeping. I mean, I wear a silk mask at night and I
Mhm.
use a silk pillowcase or silk.
Skincare.
It's either
Mhm.
silk or satin. I don't know. I always get
Yeah.
nonetheless, it doesn't
Everything
create
is
wrinkles
satin.
when I sleep, right?
Yeah.
So these are all things that you can do, but it really does track back to your hormones.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty
Yep.
fascinating.
And it's so easy because it's just a tablespoon in the morning and a tablespoon in the evening. I mean, how simple could that be?
It doesn't get any simpler. So how about hormones as they relate to weight loss? What goes sideways there? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's the same thing actually. It all goes back to our estrogen levels specifically going down, and then we have the cortisol levels because again, estrogen helps us, to deal with stress when we're younger, and when it's lower, we're not as resilient to dealing with stress. So we really have to hone in on these strategies to help us decrease our stress so we can keep the cortisol levels under control because that all points to belly fat storage. As your stress levels goes up, so does belly fat. And so we want to really control the stress levels. We want to, because we can't really control our hormone levels, right? Because we're in
Unless it's
menopause,
your hormones,
perimenopause.
right?
Yeah, it's like, but you can't control your hormonal levels, but you can control your cortisol levels.
Mm.
Um, you can, and it's just you have to figure out, and through that Dutch test that Sonia recommended, you can actually find out where you're at with your cortisol, so you know how to control that. Is it too high? Is it too low? And you know what to do to manage that. And I would say that by managing your hormones, and I'm not just talking about menopause, because I think what happens when we say hormones, I think a lot of people think of like menopause automatically, but we have all types of hormones in our body. And
You.
yeah, tons of hormones. Yeah.
Yep.
And it all, when it comes to weight loss, one of the specific thing that I like to do is this metabolic reset. And let me tell you why. Because it helps to not just, reduce the digestive bulk and the inflammation that we have in our body, but it also helps with the glow, your skin glowing, because you're doing like a detox, you're absorbing all these minerals, and your body is really like resetting its metabolism, and you're getting tons of water. So it's doing an absolute like reset. And that's why we call it a metabolic reset.
Yes, and I like to think of that too, and kind of steering the boat back toward hormones. One of the other pieces that sort of falls by the wayside, and this is why you hear so many people being diagnosed with pre-diabetes and diabetes once they get into their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, it's all hormonal related. So I'm a
Mm.
registered dietitian, nutritionist, and certified diabetes educator by trade. And so I have seen so many people, that maybe were thin earlier in life and they, thought they could get away with eating whatever they wanted to. They had, poor lifestyle habits in general, but they were thin. So they always thought that they were okay. But then all of a
Mm.
sudden they hit this midlife area, right? This sort of gray area. And what happens? The pounds start coming on because their body no longer metabolizes glucose and as well as it once did, I guess is the best way of saying
Yeah.
that. And because you know, think of it like you're playing tug of war with different hormones. They're being pulled in different directions that when you're younger, it works like a perfectly turning wheel for
Mhm.
most people, although there are a lot of people younger and younger, unfortunately, who are being hit with hormonal imbalances, but that's for a
Yeah.
different conversation.
Yeah.
But as it relates to weight loss, so if the adrenals have to work harder,
Mhm.
it also affects your blood sugar levels and your insulin levels. So you hear the word insulin resistance. So that metabolic reset that Jeannie is
Yeah.
talking about is so powerful
Mm.
for helping with insulin resistance. And I guarantee you, if you're not losing weight, most of the time it's not because you're eating too much or not exercising enough. You cannot
Yeah.
exercise away your hormone changes. It
I
doesn't
know.
happen, right? Go to the gym, 10 hours a day and you still won't lose
Mhm.
weight. It'll actually make your hormones go even more sideways.
Yeah.
Impactful. And if you want information on any of the things that we're talking about today, just drop info
Mhm.
below or reach out to one of us and we'd be happy to share. But I know,
Yeah.
Jeannie, you have a metabolic reset coming up soon. Talk to us about what that 5-day drop looks like.
So it actually starts on Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day weekend. And most of us on Memorial Day, we are going to eat a little bit too much and feel bloated the next day. So this is a great time to start. It's 5 days. So the first day you are doing a little bit of a fasting, getting lots and lots of fluids in. You're getting the minerals in, the nutrients through liquid fluids. And then that evening, you're having a good meal.
Mm,
And so there's no deprivation. It's not a diet. Like it's literally well put together through science. And there's like it's very well planned out so that every day there's a meaning behind why you're having specific meals at certain times. Why are you drinking a certain, mineral thing, one of these packets of this is actually trace minerals and you add it to your water. So we're going to have you drink a gallon of water a day, but you don't have to drink the whole gallon with, just water. You're going to add the trace mineral into your water. So you get some flavor in that as well.
and
Um,
two, I was gonna say too, sorry to
mhm,
interrupt you, but that little red packet is very
yeah,
powerful because not only does it help with the trace minerals, it
yeah,
has shilajit and fulvic
mhm,
acid in it too, which are also powerful for
mhm.
helping to detoxify hormones. And
Yes.
so we're getting rid of some of those bad estrogens. And
Mhm,
just because you're getting older and your estrogen is declining, you still
mhm.
can have estrogen dominance. And when you
Yeah.
have estrogen dominance, that makes you at higher risk for cancer and other
Mhm,
chronic hormonal related diseases or cancers, uterine cancer, breast cancer, all those
mhm.
kinds of things, because your body isn't properly detoxing out the bad estrogens. So
Right.
fulvic acid and
She
shilajit
like
are
yes.
very powerful in helping with that detox process, as of
Yes.
course the fasting and the other things that you're doing and eating less. So I love that
Yeah.
that
What
program.
I love about it too is you get all this energy and there's no caffeine. In all the 5 days, not a drop of caffeine, and your energy levels are much higher than when you have those days when you're drinking that cup of coffee.
Mm.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And then you'll walk away feeling more energized, getting more sleep, losing some inches and pounds, getting rid of like this, you just feel lighter because you're getting rid of the bloat and all the things. And you walk away like more motivated and ready to continue on that journey for weight loss. So it's kind of like a good way to jumpstart your goals.
So okay, if I hear this right, then so we have solutions for
Mhm.
combating the aging skin that is caused by your estrogen declining. we have a solution for people that are insulin resistant because of their estrogen declining and their blood sugars being impacted and their waistline getting bigger.
Yep.
So these are true biohacking tips that, yeah, you can't say I am on paper, I'm not going to be younger, but you can have the body and the insides and the outsides of someone much younger. I know one of our team members, Tina, shout out to Tina if you're out there, Tina. She had a biological age test done recently. She's 60. And because of all the things that we're talking about and the healthy lifestyles she lives, she had the biological age of, I think she said, like a 38-year-old.
Wow. That's incredible.
I
That's
told her, I said,
incredible.
I want to be like you when I grow up.
Yeah, that's wild, wild. Wow.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And so these are all things that, even if you're in your 30s now or late 20s, you got to think about this stuff now
Yeah.
because everybody's hormones will begin to change at some point. It's when it happens
Yeah.
and how rapidly it happens that's the variable for all of us, right?
Yes,
What other
absolutely.
things can you do on a day-to-day basis, Jeannie, to help to manage that balance of your hormones to make this
Yeah.
sort of transition a little easier?
Weight training.
Okay. Yep.
No, definitely add some weight training. It's not even an option. Once you're over 40, you gotta add at least 2 days of weight training. And actually I take that back, resistance training. It doesn't have to you don't have to do weights per se. So if you're at home, you can
And
use your own body weight.
mhm.
You can use your own body weight. You can use bands. There's so many options these days, but you want to be doing resistance training at least twice a day.
So
I mean, twice a week. Sorry.
the
Twice a
other
day,
thing that
twice a week.
the other thing I think that, and I know you'll agree as an exercise physiologist, I mean, I used to do a lot of CrossFit, and what does
Mm,
that do? It jacks your cortisol levels up. What
yeah.
happens when the cortisol goes up? Weight
So
gain.
does body fat. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
know, so with weight training, you want to make sure that you're not doing a lot of high intensity
mhm,
workout, especially in between. So sometimes, like with CrossFit, because I used to be a CrossFitter, it's very high intensity because you're constantly moving. So you're going from doing the push-ups to maybe skipping rope, and then you're doing a pull-up, and it's constant, right?
mhm,
Whereas if you're doing weight training, you want to do the max that you can and then take a break,
mhm.
rest for like, a minute or so, and then go to the next one and so on.
So lower impact exercise in general with
Yeah.
an emphasis on strength training. I do a lot of hot yoga, which is very focused on like yoga for strength. And
Mhm.
it's a lot of body weight movement, but it's amazing to me how many people that can lift heavy weights when you do
Mhm.
something like a body weight movement, they can't do it.
Right.
It's like a
Yes,
different type of strength, right?
it
But
is.
nonetheless, so preserving muscle mass helps
Mhm.
to make sure that you don't age as quickly
Mhm.
metabolically, right? And
Yeah.
so that's a very important thing that you can do because when you start doing hardcore workouts, it affects your cortisol, it affects
Mhm.
your insulin, your blood
Yeah.
sugars can spike. So things start like going sideways with regard to
Mhm.
that. So give up the hardcore workouts if you're
Yeah.
trying to balance your hormones.
Yeah. Weight training is great to improve your insulin sensitivity. So,
Mhm.
you definitely want to be adding that in. Yeah.
And then, of course, last but not least, we cannot forget the food piece of it because,
Mhm.
food will always be your medicine. Food is medicine. It is
Yep.
the most important thing that you can do. So, eating a little bit differently, making sure your meals and snacks, and we don't subscribe to any one size fits all diet plan. So, this can really apply to anything, but making sure that they're well balanced with proteins, carbs, and fats, making sure that the carbs that you consume are not like the sugary kind, that
Mhm.
they're high fiber, slowly digesting carbs. Because when you eat in combination like that, you have less of a blood sugar spike, which means you have less insulin chasing the sugar and therefore you have less stress on the body and happier cortisol levels. Like it's just all so important, not only to help your skin glow, but to help your waistline shrink or not expand, right? If you're not
Mhm.
overweight, you certainly don't want to become overweight. And even people that are thin, you can be skinny fat, right? So
Right.
it's all
Yeah.
about achieving. I was listening to one of my favorite biohackers yesterday by the name of Dave Asprey, and he was talking about in his 20s being 300 pounds and eating a raw vegan diet, but it was
Mm.
filled with carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker, and this is where him and I relate on a totally different level. He was exposed to toxic mold. And
Oh,
because of
wow.
the toxic environment, he started to pack on the pounds. Now, fast forward, he's like 50 years old. And what did he say on his podcast the other day? He was 8% body fat. And he's like, I exercise 1 to 2 days a week. But when I do exercise, it's all about the strength training
Right.
and managing and optimizing my hormones.
Mhm.
So it just goes to show you, and I went to school for nutrition and I was taught calories in, calories out. Now, there's a small element of truth to that. You can't eat like a pig and expect to be thin or healthy. But at the same time, that is a small piece of the equation. It's all about knowing and understanding those hormones, right? So get a Dutch
Right.
test. That's the moral of the story. Know where you are because you can't get to the destination if you don't know where the starting point is. So
Exactly.
know where you're at. If you're looking in the mirror and seeing fine lines and wrinkles on your face, don't run off to the spa and get Botox because that is not going to solve your problem. That is going to make the toxicity levels higher in your body, which impacts your hormones in a negative way. You have an even bigger problem,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So it all comes down to finding those solutions to help you biohack your appetite, biohack your sleep, biohack your waistline, biohack your aging skin. I mean, this is 2024. There is a solution to help you with all of it. I promise you.
Absolutely.
And if you
Yes.
need suggestions, that's what Jeannie and I are here for, to help
Yep.
you age gracefully. And even if you are 50, 60, 70 years old, be like Tina, have a biological age, half of your age almost, right? Well, not quite half. But you get my point. It's totally realistic to do. And that's what I love about biohacking. Jeannie, anything
Yeah.
else you wanted to add related to this conversation?
I would just say, aren't you glad that we're, like, in this age versus, like, 50 years ago? You
Yeah,
know? I mean, so much, progress with technology and, biohacking, like, it's incredible what we can do.
50 years ago when you reach midlife, it's like you might as well, it's like a cow, might as well
Pack
put
it
them in
in.
the pasture, right? Now I'm
Yes.
like, hey, we're just beginning. Those of
We're
us
just
over
starting.
40, hey,
Yeah.
we're just starting a brand new chapter to our
Mhm.
lives. And our goal is to help you thrive during that time frame instead of feeling
Mhm.
like, pardon my French, a piece of shit,
Yeah.
right? No one wants to feel like that. So
Right.
if we can help you feel like a 25, 30, 40-year-old, regardless of, what your chronological age looks like, that's what we're here to do. So definitely reach out to us. If you guys found this information helpful, we are live all over the place in public places. You can share this video and definitely leave us a comment if there are different topics that you would like to hear in the biohacking world, in the anti-aging world, in the holistic health world. We would love to know from you what you'd like to hear from us because we will go to work, do the research so that you
Yep.
don't have to. And that's what we're here for. So thank you again for joining us for another edition of Winning Wednesday. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.